But what we need to talk to Merce about now is what happened at the Emirates today.
The Emirates Stadium was electric on Sunday evening as Arsenal and Manchester City played out a fiercely contested draw, but what should have been remembered as a showcase of two elite Premier League sides will instead be etched into memory for controversy, outrage, and yet another chapter in the saga of VAR. Arsenal supporters left their home ground feeling aggrieved, not by their team's performance, but by what they believe was an appalling refereeing decision that robbed them of a potentially match-winning moment. In the second half, with the game hanging delicately in the balance, Arsenal had a legitimate claim for a penalty waved away by referee Stuart Atwell, and VAR, to the astonishment of almost everyone watching, refused to intervene. The incident itself unfolded in a flash but left lasting shockwaves. An Arsenal attacker burst into the penalty area, evading a challenge before being clipped by a City defender. From the stands, it appeared to be a clear foul. The roar of the Emirates went up instantly, Arsenal players threw their arms in appeal, and even the commentators on television paused in anticipation of the inevitable whistle. But Atwell stood unmoved, his arm motioning to play on. Fans consoled themselves with the knowledge that VAR would surely step in to correct what looked like an obvious mistake. Instead, the game resumed as if nothing had happened. Moments later, City created a chance at the other end, and the Emirates was left in stunned disbelief. The controversy only grew when replays were shown. Camera angles highlighted significant contact, and pundits in the studio expressed bafflement at the lack of intervention. Many argued that it was a textbook penalty, the sort of decision VAR was specifically designed to enforce. Instead of clarity, however, the technology once again delivered confusion and anger. Arsenal supporters, who have felt wronged by officiating in several crucial fixtures in recent seasons, erupted across social media. Hashtags like Arsenal robbed, VAR Chester City, and Justice for Arsenal trended worldwide within minutes of the final whistle. The sense of injustice was palpable, not least because the stakes in this game were so high. Arsenal's players, to their credit, continued to fight despite the setback. They matched City in intensity, pressed high, and created opportunities, showing resilience in the face of adversity. The game ended in a draw, but the result felt hollow to many supporters. What should have been a point earned in a hard-fought battle against the reigning champions felt instead like a point denied by those entrusted with fairness. The difference between victory and a draw in the Premier League title race can be enormous, and the frustration that Arsenal might have walked away with all 3 points had justice been served is something that will not fade quickly. Mikel Arteta's post-match comments reflected the frustration of the entire fan base. The Arsenal boss, measured yet visibly agitated, described the non-decision as very difficult to accept and noted that these moments change games, change seasons. His words carried weight because this is not the first time Arsenal have found themselves on the wrong side of a controversial call. Over the past 2 campaigns, the Gunners have endured a series of refereeing decisions that have gone against them in pivotal matches, and each one leaves a scar. For Arteta, who has tirelessly built a side capable of competing toe-to-toe with Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, it is these fine margins that could decide whether Arsenal finally break their title drought. Stuart Atwell, the referee at the center of the storm, has now become the subject of heated debate. Known for past controversies, his name is frequently associated with inconsistency, and Arsenal fans wasted no time adding this night at the Emirates to the catalogue of grievances. The anger, however, extends beyond Atwell himself. Much of it is directed at the VAR system and the PMAL, the governing body of referees in English football. The promise of VAR was to bring fairness, to ensure that blatant errors would no longer dictate the outcome of matches. Yet, in practice, the technology has too often delivered the opposite, confusion, inconsistency, and an erosion of trust. Arsenal's denied penalty is just the latest example of how the system is failing to deliver what was promised. Pundits and former players have joined the chorus of discontent. Several pointed out on television that similar incidents earlier in the season had resulted in penalties, some for far less contact than what was seen at the Emirates. The inconsistency is what most enrages fans when rules appear to change depending on the teams involved. Accusations of bias inevitably follow. Former professionals suggested that if the foul had occurred at the other end, with a City player going down under the same contact, the decision may have been different. This perception of double standards damages the credibility of the Premier League, particularly in matches of such magnitude. For Arsenal, the sense of being wronged goes beyond just one night. It plays into a larger narrative of frustration with refereeing in English football. The club's fan base has long felt that their team does not get the benefit of the doubt in big matches. Whether true or not, every fresh incident deepens the suspicion. At the Emirates, in front of their own supporters, against their fiercest rivals for the title, to be denied a penalty in such a manner only reinforced those feelings. Fans left the ground not celebrating a draw against one of the world's best teams, but lamenting the chance for victory stolen from them. The debate around VAR shows no sign of slowing down. Calls for reform are growing louder, with many suggesting that referees and VAR officials should be required to explain their decisions publicly after matches. Transparency, they argue, would go a long way toward restoring trust. Others have proposed that referees be mic'd up during matches, as is common in rugby, so fans can hear the reasoning behind decisions in real time. Without such changes, nights like this will continue to overshadow the sport. And yet, despite the controversy, there are positives Arsenal can take from the draw. The Gunners matched City in every department, refusing to be intimidated and showing the kind of maturity and resilience that title-winning sides are built on. They created chances, defended with organization, and proved once again that they are no longer a side that shrinks under pressure. The fury at the denied penalty only highlights how close they came to securing what would have been a statement win. The belief in the squad remains strong, and if anything, the sense of injustice may fuel their determination in the weeks to come. Still, the bitter aftertaste lingers. This match will be remembered not for its goals, its tactics, or its drama, but for a referee's decision and VAR's silence. It will be remembered as the night Arsenal felt robbed in their own home, the night a potential victory slipped away not through a lack of effort or quality, but through the failings of those meant to protect the integrity of the game. The draw with Manchester City may not be season-defining on paper, but in the hearts of Arsenal fans, it will be marked as a turning point. Should the title race go down to the wire, the penalty that never was at the Emirates will haunt conversations for years to come. The Premier League thrives on drama, but when the drama stems from officiating rather than football, the competition itself suffers. Arsenal and their supporters deserve better, and until reforms are made, nights like this will continue to cast shadows over English football. At the Emirates, the Gunners fought bravely and left with a point, but they and everyone who watched knew it should have been more.